Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, then my name is Rosie and I'm a recent graduate of the University of Oxford. Today's video is all about trying to find you the right university for yourself. No university is going to be perfect in any way and no university is going to be right on all fronts. However, we can find one, or we can try and find one, that is right for you in as many aspects as possible. And I'm going to go through a list of my kind of top 5 things to look out for on open days. Like as I said, I went to the University of Oxford, which in itself has kind of an extra round of how to choose where to go, because you've got the college system, the same for Durham and Cambridge and some more places, but I'm not familiar with them. I have another video on how I chose a college, which I will link in the pinned comment. Okay, well let's get on with it. If you do want to skip through, then I'll link the headings in the pinned comment as well, so you can click on what is most important to you. So, number 1, I have to say this is the most important thing, is the course. If the university does not do the course that you want, then you can't be looking at it. I actually applied to 3 different courses. I applied to Archaeology and Anthropology, Archaeology and Archaeology with Geography at different places, and I went for Archaeology and Anthropology eventually, and I think deep down that is what I wanted the most, but very few places actually offer it. Some universities might have the same course title, but if you actually look in the syllabus, they can be completely different. So I would recommend just having a think about your subject first. And I was looking at universities in year 11, the start of year 11 and year 10, purely to choose what A-levels I had to take, because I was thinking I would love to go to uni. I don't know what for. I knew I liked archaeology. Hadn't really considered it like as an actual profession. I also did textiles, so I was also considering doing fashion design, so I was also looking into universities for that. And yeah, it was a big mess of lots of different things, but that's okay. You're at that stage, that's fine. Just find some subjects at uni level that you think you would enjoy, and then try and work out which courses, which versions of that subject you prefer at different places. On a similar note, every university will examine differently. The difference between mine and my brother's forms of examination and assessment are completely different, for example. So for my degree, the only things that counted towards my final mark were my dissertation, which was worth 2 exams, and 7 exams. So altogether we have 9 exams, 2 of which are the dissertation. And that is all that counts. So that's... your whole degree comes down to your final year, in particularly like 8 days on your final year where you have exams. With my brother, however, he is assessed consistently all the way throughout. Most universities do this. You have assessments kind of like once a month, I think, and then also exams and presentations. Entry requirements again fits into this section. There are lots of different versions of courses that are the same, that have different entry requirements at different unis. So for example, my insurance choice, which was Nottingham, offered AAB. My kind of next in line was York, which was ABB, including general studies. Manchester was BBB, and UCLan, University of Central Lancashire, was CBB. So they were all very different, and I really would not recommend choosing all universities that have the same grades, because there's absolutely nothing for you to fall back on there. I'd always have one as your insurance that is lower, because you do not know what's going to happen whilst you're taking your A-levels. And you do like to obviously think on the positives, but your insurance is, well, it's insurance, like that's the whole point. Also on the course, you could look at possible trips that you might do, whether they have any abroad trips, any field work, any, I don't know, like possible work experience that you can get in the department. And a lot of this is listed on the website. Some universities might have big trips that, you know, are out of a price range, and others might have similar trips with funding. So I don't get caught up on that, but it is something to think about. Have a think about what different places offer, and if you're not sure, email. There's honestly, you can't lose out by asking. Number 2. Think about the university grounds. The main one in this section is whether or not it is a city uni, a campus uni or a collegiate uni. They're all very different. The vibe between a city and a campus uni is very different. I don't know, it didn't really bother me much. Like I said, my second choice was Nottingham. That is very much a campus uni, as is York. Nottingham's campus is very different to York. Nottingham to me kind of felt like Centre Parks. I absolutely loved it, and I get the same vibe from Edge Hill, which I visited a few times. That is really nice, by the way. Definitely have a look at Edge Hill. It will change your whole experience, I think, because like at Nottingham I was thinking, oh, I could bring my bike, I could go for cycles around, I could go for walks, go for runs.
Wow! The land of make-believe!
It'll always feel like I'm in the countryside, whereas a city uni is completely different, but you also might get like more access to bars, pubs, clubs. On an open day you can have a look and see what is on offer at the different places and which kind of vibe you prefer. If there's bus services, travel services from a campus to a city, then you can explore that as well. Sports facilities for me were a big thing. I really wanted to have some sort of gym close. So on an open day, something you could look for is whether they have sports facilities, particularly if you play a specific sport. If you're really into that sport, then you might want to check that they actually offer it, or whether there is the prospect of you starting up that sport like as a new society. And finally, on grounds, because accommodation is going to be my next point, is the library. I can't stress enough how important it is to have a library close, or at least within travel distance, because at busy periods you're gonna have to get to the library at like 8:30, 9 a.m. in order to secure a spot. It is gonna be so much harder if you've only got one library at the uni, then it's gonna be really difficult. So have a look for kind of how big the library is, whether it is close to accommodation, whether you actually like the library for a start. It might not be the sort of thing that you want. You might look at other study spaces that are on offer, whether your actual subject has its own specific library. That can be really helpful. Okay. Number 3, accommodation. It's very easy on an open day to just go in and look for the fanciest, kind of spanking new accommodation where you think, oh yeah, that is great, that looks like something I would like. But there are some things that you probably didn't think to look out for on your open day. So what I would look out for in accommodation is the following, and I'm going to put them here as well. I would look at whether it's on-site or off-site accommodation, so whether it's in college or on campus, whether it is a single or a double room, whether it is en suite or not, catered, or whether it's got kitchens, whether they're shared rooms, costs, leasing, provision of halls or private living throughout the whole degree, Wi-Fi, heating, security and insurance. Now I know that is a lot of things. I certainly did not think about all of these things when I was on my open days. Whether your accommodation is catered or has a kitchen can actually be very important, both for price and, for example, if you've got any dietary requirements. Catered living tends not to have its own cooking facilities, so you may pay up front or you may pay as you go on a little card. If I was choosing a uni again, I would make sure it had a kitchen, because it is so much cheaper to buy your own ingredients and like cook in bulk and save it. If you are in a student hall, insurance, Wi-Fi, heating, electricity should all be covered by the uni, but I would double check. Most universities have room insurance included in the rent, so that if like you lock your room and someone still managed to break in, they have to replace whatever was stolen. But maybe check that if that's something that's important to you. For me, a big thing was whether there was provision of private halls throughout the degree, because living out is pretty expensive, more because you've got to pay for the entire year. You don't get a lot for your money. You especially don't get bills included, and if money is a worry, then maybe you want to have a look into that. Or just if you don't want the stress of having to find housemates to live with, then see if you can get accommodation either in private student accommodation or in university-owned student accommodation for the duration of your degree. Another thing really quickly is leasing. So just have a look at how long the actual lease is on your student halls or house. Do you have to be there for the whole year, just during term, or whether you get it for the holidays? So like in Oxford and Cambridge, a lot of places stop at the end of term, so you have to take all of your stuff home because you're not paying for it. That is difficult and annoying, but it does make it cheaper, so just have a look at that. Number 4 might be less important to some of you but very important to others, and that is the provision of clubs and societies. Most university pages do have a list of what societies are on offer and what sports are on offer. They should also have kind of the facilities for those societies. And I know a lot of societies have their own websites with links to kind of previous trips that have happened, competition schedules, pictures of people you might meet when you're there. So maybe have a dig around those. Actually, on an open day, you could ask around and see if anyone knows another helper that's there who you can talk to. There might be tutors there who are interested and can help you get involved. There's lots of people around on an open day who can help you, and it is very likely that at least one of those people do the same thing as you or know someone and therefore have enough
That you
have enough information to help you for now. Some things that you might want to ask about societies on your open day is pricing, whether it is termly, yearly, monthly, weekly, whether there's a difference in competitive and beginner level. You might just be starting out, you might want to go straight in at a top level, what facilities are actually on offer and where that they might be. So I wanted to do gymnastics at uni. I did not know that the gymnastics facilities were like a 30-minute bus ride away. Number 5 is whether there are job opportunities and funding opportunities throughout your degree. Now the main thing here is, are you allowed to work? Because I know at Oxford you have to sign a thing to say that you're not allowed to work. A lot of people, however, still do. It's just more of a, you can't say if something goes wrong, oh, it was because I was working this many hours, because you signed a contract to say that you weren't, and you can't break those rules. I did. I worked alongside my degree the whole way through. In my second year, I probably took on too many hours. However, I was paying for a 52-week lease on my house, so it was necessary in order to pay my rent. Basically what I'm saying is, see if there are any jobs on offer, and if you're at a uni that doesn't allow jobs, then have a look at the Students' Union, have a look at whether you can be an ambassador and get paid for it, whether you could work summer schools. City unis are pretty good for jobs because you're around jobs all the time. A lot of university cities' job markets is seasonal, so they're always wanting extra staff once students have left because they lose half their workforce. So if you can stay in the holidays, for example, then that might be something you want to do. Some universities will offer scholarships and bursaries. It really varies. I know, for example, Sheffield Hallam have an excellent scholarship. Oxford don't. But some colleges will give you money if you get a first in your exams. Can't relate. A lot of places also have hardship funds and kind of central university bursaries. I got the Oxford bursary throughout my degree. That was an extra £600 a year, and in my final year I got £1,000 worth of extra bursary for hardship because the rents were too expensive. Oxford and Cambridge again are also pretty good at kind of travel grants for things that will help your studies. So I got another £500 to let me go and do an archaeological dig that would then hopefully help my master's application. So do just ask everyone what's on offer, ask if they have experienced it. They might not answer you, and that's perfectly acceptable. You know, not everyone wants to talk about money, but some people will be very, very open about it and honest, and the best people to talk to in that respect is the students themselves, because a lot of the tutors will have gone to uni in a time when everything was free. It's a very different world now. Nothing is free. That sums up my whole video ask questions, ask about all the things I've said, ask about anything that you think might be stupid but is niggling you in the back of your mind. Just ask. There are no stupid questions on an open day, because this is where you will potentially be spending the next 3, 4, 5, 6 if you're a medic years of your life. Yeah, I hope this was helpful. I hope you enjoy your search for university. Thanks for watching. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video and subscribe if you don't already. Bye!